Hi, it's Sylvester, and I have several diagnosed mental illnesses, and one of those mental illnesses is major depressive disorder. Now, I don't talk a lot about my depression, even though it really, really affects my life, and there are a couple of reasons why I don't talk that much about my depression. And those reasons are because it feels like people simultaneously do not understand depression, and like the people who don't understand it just will never be able to understand it no matter how well you try to explain it to them, no matter how many times you try to explain it to them. Like the people out there who don't understand depression or mental illnesses in general, like they just really, really don't get it. And when you say to these people that you have depression, they judge you because they see it as a moral failing. They don't see it as a real condition. They see it as you just being whiny or lazy or just a weak, And then on the other hand, there's a lot of people out there who have depression. So saying that I have depression makes me feel very unspecial. Like I'm part of the support group, which I recommend that you join this support group. It's called Recovery Canada. I'll put a link in the top right corner of this video if you want to watch my video where I explain to you how to join this support group. But this support group talks about how everyone wants to be exceptional. Everyone wants to be better than other people. Everyone wants to be above average. But the truth is, most people are average. And a lot of people have a lot of shame around being average. And I'm one of those people. Like, I don't like feeling like I'm just normal. I want to feel special. I want to feel unique. I'm a unique little snowflake. But when I say that I have depression, I feel like I'm just average because it seems like everybody has depression these days, especially millennials and the generations that came after us. We're all depressed. And so for me to sit here and say I'm depressed, I feel like no one's gonna even want to watch this video because everyone's like, yeah, Sylvester, we're all depressed. Like, nobody wants to hear me talking about my depression because either you're one of those people who just don't understand depression and just don't believe me when I talk about it, or just will not care or listen, or you're one of those people who probably has depression and so you understand it and there's probably nothing that I can say that's new to you. So talking about my depression feels kind of pointless in a lot of ways. Like I'm at once not understood by a lot of people and also understood by a lot of people, but like I don't have anything new to contribute to the conversation. And even the people who have depression, we all tend to kind of like look down on each other for it. We tend to judge each other for it, and we tend to be like, yeah, you're depressed, but it's like a competition. When you're mentally ill, it feels like it's a competition between you and other mentally ill people of like, my mental illness is worse than yours. So when I talk about my mental illnesses, I tend to talk about things that are a little bit less average. Like I talk about the fact that I suffered with psychosis for several years and I had like pretty vivid hallucinations, and like that's an experience that a lot of people won't have in their lifetime. That's something that's not super average. Being incredibly psychotic is not a very average experience. And so when I talk about that, it makes me feel special and different and unique. Like I'm this little snowflake, a unique little special snowflake. And so like that also makes me feel like I'm more justified when I talk about being mentally ill, because it's like I'm not just depressed. I don't just have anxiety. I'm not like these other mentally ill people. I had psychosis. Like I actually had a psychotic breakdown. Checkmate. Beat that, other mentally ill people. Ha! Dunking on you. I'm dunking on you with my psychosis. You know what I mean? Like, but then I talk about having depression, and again, like I've had people say things to me that are along the lines of like, well, I have depression too. Like what makes you so special? Like I'm not on disability support and I have depression, like, or people who say like, I have depression, and I do what, whatever. I work a 9 to 5 job, so why can't you? And like, people comparing themselves to me, and like, again, it oftentimes feels like mental illness is a competition. When I meet another mentally ill person, it's like I always have to try to prove that my mental illness is worse than theirs, to justify the fact that I'm on disability support, to justify how difficult my life can be sometimes, to be like, well, you might have depression, but my depression's worse. And like, I hate that. It's really exhausting to feel like you're in competition with people all the time. And it's really exhausting to feel like you always have to justify your mental illnesses, not just to people who don't have them and don't understand them, but also to other people who have mental illnesses. Like, I constantly feel like I have to defend myself. And it's just very exhausting. But like I said, depression is something that really, really affects my life, more so than the psychosis, because I'm not psychotic anymore. And so, I mean, I'm still dealing with the traumatic aftermath of having experienced that, because psychosis can be very traumatic. Like, I do genuinely feel traumatized by what I went through with my psychosis. It was a lot, and it lasted a long time, and it was just very fucked up, and it just really fucked my life up, and it fucked my brain up in so many ways. And so I'm still affected by the psychosis that I experienced. But the thing that affects me, I feel like, more than most of my other mental illnesses is the depression. Like, I have bipolar, and I have borderline personality disorder, and I have PTSD, which, don't get me wrong, all of those mental illnesses affect me very, very deeply. And I have generalized anxiety disorder, and I have OCD. And again, those affect me very profoundly. But I often kind of sweep my depression under the rug, because it's like, in my opinion, the least important mental illness that I have, or at least the least exciting mental illness that I have, because again, it feels like everybody has depression. So it's like, why bother even acknowledging it or talking about it, because it's like, it's so normal at this point. Having depression is so normal. But it does affect my life very deeply. And I am on antidepressants, and they have helped a lot. But they haven't taken away the depression entirely. Like, I still suffer with depression even with my medications. And I feel like, first of all, people don't understand that. People feel like antidepressants are supposed to just cure your depression, which is not the case. There's a possibility that maybe I'm on the wrong antidepressants, or that I'm not on a high enough dose. But I've been working with healthcare professionals for a while now, trying to find the right cocktail of medications, and I finally found the cocktail of medications that really does profoundly help me a lot. But I do think that this is probably the best they can do. I don't really think that there's any way that I can completely be cured of my depression. Like, I think it is something that I just kind of have to live with the rest of my life. And I know, like, depression can come in waves. Sometimes it's worse than others. Like, you go through depressive periods where it's, like, really bad, and then there's periods where it's not so bad. And, like, I get that. But I do think that major depressive disorder is something that's just going to affect me the rest of my life, because I can't really get rid of it. And depression really makes it very hard for me to do a lot of things in my life. When you're depressed, you don't have a lot of energy. First of all, it makes you very fatigued. So I'm very tired all the time. And again, it feels so average to say that, because everyone's tired all the time. And most people do more things than I do. And so it's like, you're tired? Again, I feel like I'm in competition with people. So if I say I'm tired all the time, someone else is going to be like, you're tired? I work a 9 to 5, and I have 3 kids, and I'm blank, blah, 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 whatever. I'm more tired than you are. And it's like, maybe that's true, but that doesn't take away the fact that I am just profoundly tired a lot of the time, and less so than I used to be, because I used to be on antipsychotics that made me so tired that I could barely get anything done. I was just sleeping all day, basically. Like, So again, it's taken a long time for me to find the right mixture of pharmaceuticals that help me without overdoing it and making me just really sleepy or making me have a bunch of side effects. And so, like, I'm less tired than I used to be, but I'm still just very, very tired all the time. And that makes it genuinely really hard to get stuff done. And then there's also just, I feel like I've been saying the word profound a lot in this video. It's just a good word. I like the word profound, but I'm very unmotivated. And again, people who don't understand depression look at that and think that I'm just lazy and I'm just weak and I'm just like it's a personal failing that I'm unmotivated. And it's not my fault, this lack of motivation. It's really not. It is just a symptom of my depression. And so, like, church is an example of, like, I haven't been I went to church today for the first time in months, because for a long time I just would wake up on Sunday mornings and I just wouldn't be able to get out of bed. Because church is one of those things where it's like, I know I should go and I know that the people at my church really like it when I go, but I don't have to go. It's not an obligation. It's not a responsibility. It's just kind of optional. And so, because I have the option, I'll just lay in bed and be like, I really don't want to. I just don't want to go to church. It's kind of boring. There's not a lot of, it's not like the most fun thing on the planet to do. Like, again, it just kind of feels like it's something I'm obligated to do, even though I don't have to do it. I feel like a lot of people want me to do it, and like that puts a lot of pressure on me, and then it like stresses me out because I feel like I'm failing people and I'm disappointing people, but I just can't get out of bed because I'm just like, I just don't feel motivated to go. I just can't get myself to go. And like, again, today I went for the first time in a long time, and it was kind of boring. No offense to people who find church very riveting and exciting, but like I personally find it kind of boring and hard to sit through at times. And I just, I went and I felt really good about myself because I know that a lot of people at my church really like seeing me and they want me to be there and they want me to participate in this community that they're part of. They want me to be part of the community. And like, what was I saying? That's another symptom of depression is memory loss and hard time focusing. I have a really hard time remembering people's names. And then, people get really offended by that. And like, I feel like I can't say, oh, it's because I'm depressed. They'll be like, oh, you're just making excuses, like whatever. But legitimately, depression can cause memory problems. And so I have a really hard time remembering people's names. And I have a hard time remembering certain things because my depression, it's just, it's just a symptom of my depression. I can't help it. And I feel like I'm getting really defensive. And I am getting really defensive. It's just, I don't like talking about my depression. I don't like it because it makes me feel like I am weak. It makes me feel like the people who don't believe in depression are right. Like, I'm trying to make all these excuses for myself of like, why I haven't been to church, and like, I haven't been to church because my depression has been really bad. But like, saying that sounds like I'm just making an excuse, and like, I am making an excuse, but it's a valid excuse, and like, I don't know. I'm getting really, really defensive because I just feel like people don't get it. And like, even the people who get it don't always get it, and it's just really frustrating. I don't know how to tell people that I am just very depressed and that it really affects my life in a very negative way a lot of the time. And yeah, I don't know. Like, my depression hasn't been terrible. It's been a lot worse in the past, which again makes me feel like this weird kind of imposter syndrome where I'm like, am I really depressed or am I just making it up? You know, I start second guessing myself. I start am I just being lazy? Am I just being unmotivated as a choice? Like, am I just choosing to be unmotivated? Am I just weak? You know, or am I just like making excuses for my laziness? And like, no, I'm not. Then I have to keep telling myself that like depression is real, it's valid, it's not my fault. I'm doing everything I can to help myself. Like it's not my fault, but it's still hard not to blame myself for it because at times being depressed does feel like a personal, like I failed, like I'm failing the people around me, and like I'm failing myself, and it makes me feel like a failure, and I don't like that, and it makes me feel like I'm below average, and like you know I don't want to feel like I'm below average. I want to feel like I'm at least average. Like again, most people want to feel like they're exceptional or above average, but like I don't want to feel like I'm below average. I'd rather feel average than below average, and so like being depressed just really sucks. I feel like this video has been kind of all over the place, but I don't know. I'm not happy with this video. Am I gonna post it anyways? Probably. I don't know. That's all. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Stay frosty. Bye.